Hi everyone, welcome to our video today. Today we're going to be talking about how to build your keyword lists. This is it. This is how you're going to get your bids on those keywords and how your ad is going to get shown. So let's get in there and get it done. All right, so we're here with Bonnie and she is going to start helping us get ready with our keyword list in KDP Rocket. Go ahead, Bonnie, take it away.
Okay, here we are and we're in KDP Rocket. This is a really great tool. I know some people say that they don't get the right keywords out of it. However, I get great keywords out of it. Up here on the top right-hand corner, you're going to click AMS keywords. Then you're going to type in your keywords. I'm going to use myself because it's just faster this way. And as you can see down here on the right, on the bottom, I also have a spreadsheet that I have ready for me, and it's open for me to import these words. Now, I don't hit import on this because on the KDP Rocket, because I don't like the format of it that it brings up. I do like to just have a regular spreadsheet open. So, and then you saw that little blue bar that went across. That's why I was talking, because it had to aggregate this stuff. So now I'm just going to left click and copy. I'm going to highlight all of these, so I can copy. Now with the PC, you cannot do like a left or right click copy. You have to do Control C. Elena, is there something different that you have to do with a Mac?
No, I just use Command C.
Oh, Command C. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll go into the spreadsheet and I'll put the mouse up in A1 and I'll do Control V, which will paste it all. Now, I don't care about pretty right now. I just want to get my terms. So I'll go back up, and since I'm focusing on Bonnie R. Paulson right now, I'm going to also work on Sweet Romance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compile as many keywords as I can underneath my Sweet Romances right now. And this is how I do it. I'll go all under, like, say, one category, and then I will be able to define later which author, which keywords are doing better for me. Now, I know Elena does it a little differently, but this is how I do mine. If I'm going to do like a specific author, like you saw what I did with me with my own name, that's how I would do it. But I'm going to just grab these words and put them in here. So
now, is this your Sweet Romance one that you just did?
This is Sweet Romance, and I've tied it with Bonnie R. Paulson.
Okay,
that way I can see who is, who's compared and who's not.
And you've pasted all that into this spreadsheet.
Yes, into this one spreadsheet. And I'll name this, like if I was going to keep this actual spreadsheet, this one that I'm doing, I would name it Sweet Romance, since that's what I'm targeting, is Bonnie R. Paulson's Sweet Romance. So I'm not targeting Westerns. I'm not targeting contemporary or anything. I'm actually just doing Sweet Romances, and I'm grabbing all of that.
Okay.
So if I was going to continue on after this, I've only done 2 rounds, and I guarantee I have not gotten 1,000 keywords yet. If I was going to continue on, I would grab like Carolyn Fife here, and I would put that in my KDP Rocket, and I would get everything related to her. And then I would go in and I would grab maybe Patricia Hagen and grab everything related to that person. And then I would go in maybe and grab someone's, title, and just keep doing that, since that's who keeps coming up with my name. But that's how I grab my KDP Rocket names. Okay, so then what I do is, this whole list is great. Spreadsheets are awesome because you can actually, instead of having to manually do this, I will go down and I'm going to copy these over. I'm going to paste that. So after I've copied that, I'm going to paste it underneath that same column that it was in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this here so the entire column is highlighted. And I'm going to come up here to the right and sort and filter A to Z. Now, what I have to do is I have to get rid of any duplicates, because if I have duplicates, it'll say, hey, you have duplicates and you can't do that again. Plus, it also gives me an inaccurate number of keywords. It says right in 21, but we know that's not true, because Where the Wind Blows shows up twice. And we have other things that are duplicates like this. I will delete this type of a line right here that has all of these authors.
Right.
So I would hit that, and then I would hit delete. So the fastest way to do this is to click the line and just hit delete, and it'll take it up. And then it takes you a couple minutes to go through and say, hey, look, there's a double. Okay, so then what I would do is I would go up here and I would do a find and select, so a replace, because there's certain things that you cannot have in your Kindle or in your AMS list that you will have. Like, for instance, you saw those, like the apostrophes. Sometimes they allow apostrophes, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they allow the exclamation points. I've only seen that once, but sometimes they don't. So see right here, you have a hyphen. So we're going to go in and we're going to do a search hyphen, and you're going to leave it nothing there. Don't put a space, don't put anything, just leave it. And you're going to click replace all. So this one says that it's made 15 replacements, and you see that it's gone. So we'll do the same thing with a comma.
And we have a handy tip sheet for what you can and can't have for those kinds of
Oh,
special
great.
characters and special words and things like you can't have parentheses, you can't use, I don't think you can use Kindle, stuff like that. So make
Right.
sure you check out that tip sheet and get your keywords all ready before you start getting ready to put your lists in your ad.
Awesome. Okay, that's a great point. So then what I'll do is I'll just go through and I'll get rid of all that. Then I'll come in and I will delete, and that's what I'll do for about 3. It usually takes me up to 5 minutes to just sit there and delete those and get rid of the duplicates. Like I have 2 Pamela Kellys here and 2 Nicole Ellis's, and so then once you get that all cleaned up, then your list is ready to be used.
Woo! What?
Okay, so I do something quite similar to Bonnie, but I use Rocket to find things that I don't know, which she did too, but I do it just a little bit different. So I just clicked on AMS keywords, same as her. So if I click here, it should bring up, and let's say that I'm going to search for Lee Tobin McLean. She writes some Western stuff, and you should have an idea of what kind of keyword list you want to build. So Bonnie was saying that, she's building a sweet romance keyword list. She's not doing Westerns. So I have lots of different ideas for how I can advertise my book. I have some that I do just clean Westerns on. I do some that are sexy Westerns. Sometimes I have historicals, that kind of thing. So from here in my KDP Rocket, what I would do is it kind of generates the list, and you can kind of see it. It gives me, a bunch of general terms, Lee Tobin McLean and all these things. And then it starts to list some titles by her. And I happen to know that Lee Tobin McLean has a lot more titles than this. So I would export this list from KDP Rocket, and I kind of keep it over here on the side. I've done this a couple times already just for time's sake. I downloaded a list where I searched clean and wholesome romance, and this is what I got. And then I downloaded a list. I actually used Vivi Holt, so let's go with that over here. And this is what I got. So I have about 70 keywords here. And that's not a whole lot. You want to have more than that, especially when you're starting your ads, because you want to get data. You want to get what keywords work for you and your books so that you can build, I call it the Master 100 list. And I'm going to be showing you how to do that in another week. But you need data to do that. So we can't really do that until you have some data, and you can't get data if you're using 70 keywords. So this is my clean and wholesome one, and it's more than 100 because it's got 2 columns or whatever. Now your maximum keywords are 1,000, and this is nowhere near that. So typically what I do after that, let me get rid of this one, is I look at these keywords from Vivi Holt. And I go, okay, I've got some of her series and I've got some stuff here. I know this isn't all of her titles. So what I do is I expand by hand. So I don't go back to KDP Rocket. I go over to Amazon. And so here I am on Amazon, and I would type in here at the top of the page, and I would type in Vivi Holt, and I would make it bring up her books. So I'm not going to click on the sponsored stuff. I'm going to find their Amazon homepage. I can get a lot of information from their Amazon homepage, and I can use a lot of things from here to build keywords. So I'm an advocate of using author names and titles, series titles, for the bulk of your keyword list. I would say 90%. What do you think, Bonnie? Like that's...
Yeah, absolutely. And I use this method, but I do it later after my data. So I see where you're building out by hand. So I totally see you're cutting down a step that I actually do later. So that's awesome that you're doing it this way.
So I would look through this, and the first thing I actually do is I scroll to the bottom. And I see how many pages they have here, because there's 12 per page, and so I know that she's going to have 36-ish titles. And I check this right here so I can see where she is. Because if it's an author that I don't know, if they're not in a category I'm looking for to build my keyword list, I don't use them. So then I come back over here and I go, okay, I know she has more titles than this. And I would start to build them out, and I just use column C, and I start to type over here, and I would do all of her titles. So, and I do that from Amazon. I just start typing Cheyenne Reckoning. I would type Paradise Valley. I do Cutter's Creek. I would do Lost in Laredo. I would do Forgotten Trails, Cowboys and Debutantes, all of those things. Seasons of Love. I type them all. So I type the title name and the series name if there's a series name. And one other thing that sometimes I do, if it's a keyword that is kind of generic, like sometimes I see people who have named a book Lisa. That's really generic. I would put the name of the author after that. So I create that keyword, which KDP Rocket's not really going to give you that. So I kind of build that. And then, so this is where I kind of use KDP Rocket for what I don't know. I kind of look through here and I go, oh my gosh, look at all these people. Okay, I know Grace Green. I don't know Carolyn Fife. Now, Bonnie acted like she did, but I don't. And so, and I'd go, okay, I don't know Emma Kingsley. I don't know Aurora Hanson. I don't know Emma Lingfield. And I did have to decide, do I want to build out my keyword list using some of these people? So let's look at Carolyn Fife. And instead, I don't go to Rocket, I go to Amazon. Oh, one more thing I wanted to show you before that is over here, customer also bought items. These authors can also provide you a massive minefield of more keywords. So I know Amelia C. Adams writes historical. I know Kristen Osborne writes historical. I know Carrie Trumbull. I know a lot of these names write historical romance. If there's a name I don't know, I might click on it right here. And if I'm making a keyword list from historical names, again, I scroll down to the bottom and I check and I see how many books they have. Is this worth my time? I want a lot of keywords. So someone who maybe only has 6 titles, I can get all of those from KDP Rocket. But KDP Rocket is not showing me all of Lee Tobin McLean's keywords. It's not showing me all of Vivi's. If I put Bonnie's in, it doesn't show me all of hers. I have to build those out myself.
Holy heart failure!
Okay, what's your question?
Yeah, sorry. So my question is, do you also include the broad terms? So for instance,
Yes.
right there, like let's just say right there, the Teton romance. Do you break it down to where it's just Teton? Or do you do Teton romance and Teton romance series?
Yeah, I would do both of those. I would do Teton romance, I would do Teton romance series, and I would do Teton season of promise. All 3 keywords.
Okay, awesome. That's what I would do too.
Okay. You can make your keyword list out of anything you want. I like to look at Amazon because we're advertising on Amazon. And sometimes when I click on the keyword, I'm looking at their, sorry, it keeps mine jumps down to the bottom. Here we go. I look at their categories. Oh, okay, this is historical. I want to be in clean and wholesome. Women's fiction, that's all good. And then sometimes I check this right here. This is Montlake. This is a traditional publisher. And that's not bad, but I think you get different results when you make keyword lists of indie author titles versus traditional author titles. So I've done both, and my indie author title lists always do better. So if you're building a list and it's maybe, you really want it to be a good one or have some good data, you might avoid this kind of traditional published book. So I might decide, yes, I'm going to use Carolyn Fife, or no, I'm not going to use Carolyn Fife. And if I decide I'm not going to use her, I actually come back to this spreadsheet and I delete her off. And I just push the delete button. So it wasn't magic. I just pushed the delete button. Okay. And if there's any that I'm going to add on, I start to build those over here. And I'll start to just list all the titles and the series names and everything for the people that I do want to use. And then I combine these 2 lists. And I do the same thing that Bonnie does, is I'll go through, and I literally go through, I don't know who Jenny Dawson is. I'll go look her up on Amazon. Are her books what I'm looking for or not what I'm looking for? If it's not what I'm looking for that particular keyword list, I delete her off. And then I sort them alphabetically the way Bonnie does. I delete the duplicates the way Bonnie does, and I copy and paste all columns from these 2 workbooks into one workbook and then alphabetize them all again. And that's kind of how I build mine. So it takes quite a bit of time for me to build a keyword list. And if it's a new keyword list that I haven't done before, I really want that data. So I try to get at least 600 to 700 keywords out of the maximum 1,000.
My tip is to keep your keywords broad. And here's why. When you keep your keywords broad, you're letting Amazon do the work for you. They're mining that data for you based on buyer profile and buyer behavior. This is something you don't have access to. So you can't really be sure that Bonnie Paulson books are going to work well with Liz Isaacson books. We can't know that for sure. Sure, we've done our own data mining, but we ourselves don't know for sure what the behavior is going to be. For instance, I'm a sweet romance reader, and I'm also a thriller reader. So Amazon shows in my sponsored product ads or in my also bots things that will also appeal to me, because remember, their bottom line is getting my money, not the author money, the reader money. And so they have it to where they're watching my behavior. I have never bought an erotic books in my life. I've also never seen an erotic book in my sponsored products or in my also bots or in my searches, because that's not what I would buy. And Amazon knows this. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that your terms are broad enough to gather that data that Amazon wants to give you. You just got to watch for it in the right places. So for instance, let's say that you put up 10 authors you don't know in your keywords, but it came up when you did a search. So what you'll do next is you'll watch those and see who Amazon thinks is going to be a good keyword. And Amazon will put impressions on the words that they think will be a good match for your ad. And this is based on activity that's placed on by your landing page or your product page, which we've been practicing on. All right, good luck.
All right, you might feel like we've just given you so much information that you don't know what to do with all of it, but you do. You can make this keyword list. You can use KDP Rocket if you've got it or you want to buy it. It will help you with things that you don't already know. If you don't want to buy it, you can definitely just do the method by hand. Go to Amazon, find some authors that you think are very much like you, that you would like to tap into their audiences. So that's my tip for you today. You need to make a keyword list with 3 authors, just 3 authors that you think would be a very good match for you. Maybe they're already in your also bots row, or maybe you would like to have your books in their also bots row so that you can tap into their audience that you think that they have. Make a keyword list with their author names, any series titles, and all of their book titles. And don't forget to use broad keyword terms too, like Bonnie was just talking about. Sweet romance, romantic suspense, paranormal romance, whatever it is that your list is targeting. So you can bring those broad keywords or that broad topic into your 3 author list as well. Get started on that. Get at least an ad going by this Friday so that you can have data to analyze with us next week when we're here in our 2nd week of our course. Go forth and make those keyword lists. You can do this.